Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Wednesdays Talking Town, the first one back following an international break. How are we all? Are we well? How have you spent the international period? Let us know some of your stories. And of course, it was the fan forum this evening, rather. It's just finished. This is we'll try and do a little bit of a reaction to it, although it transpires backstage that I'm probably the only person that watched it. And I'm going to be honest, I dozed halfway through it. Not to say it was boring, but there we go. So we'll do our best. We'll do our best for you, ladies and gentlemen. But please do let us know in the chat to give us some stuff to bounce off. Your takeaways from this evening. What have you taken away from the fan forum? What did you learn that you didn't know? What did you like hearing? What didn't you like hearing? All of that wonderful stuff. But of course, we'll also preview the return to football this Saturday, 3 p.m. against Sheffield Wednesday. We'll look at our expected lineup. One question we want to have asked at the press conference this week, or would like to have answered at the press conference this week. And hopefully joining us, manager at BBC Sheffield, Rob Statten, to give us the lowdown, the insight onto Sheffield Wednesday. The chat is very busy. I love that. Hopefully you'll get active with your takeaways, your good, your bad. Lloyd says the chat near the end wouldn't stop going about why he wanted what he wanted to access the Magnus stand. The Memorial Garden, 11th of November, is the date that it could be opened, which is a really good thing to have around the football club, a place where people can go and remember our loved ones. So that's 11th of November. Yeah, lots of comments. I'll bring in Matt and I'll bring in Rich. Rich, straight away. Here we go.
Good evening.
Good evening. So you've heard none of the fan forum.
About the first half hour.
And he said the first half an hour. So that's going to be a great reaction show. Let's be honest. First F-bomb. My mistake.
You can steer us through.
I'll try. Bottle tops weren't mentioned. Access to the Magnus stand was. But the Memorial Garden was something that stood out in my mind because that's something I would like for my dad, who no longer is with us, but we have his ashes. I'm interested to see if that is something we can explore. Because I was told originally we couldn't scatter ashes on the pitch. Turns out you could. So that was good. That was good to hear that might be opened on the 11th of November. That's
really good.
Something that's good to take away. Outside of that, I'm going to draw a blank because I'm going to be honest, Rich. I was dozing. It was as dry as sandpaper. There you go.
I see Craig saying there about someone asked about the foundation training about having. And then they've, like Matt said on Sunday, about the mascot package.
Yeah, I like Craig. I like Craig's point here. Ashton's saying was to take away the fact that some kids can't afford to go to the foundation training anymore, whilst increasing mascot packages to £225. Matt, I know you've been one of your bugbears.
I think I got an email in the week, or maybe yesterday, saying you've got to do a survey about inclusion and equality and all that kind of thing. But as I said Sunday, I don't find that mascot package inclusive, diverse, or anything. If anything, it's it's putting some kids on the periphery. Some kids might love to be a mascot. And as I said before, Man City free, Everton free. We can afford for it to be free. We worked it out, didn't we, Rich? What was it? But just under 60k for the season with everyone. Yeah. There's 11 mascots, 23 games. It's about 56 grand, 60 grand, something like that. But as we said, they've got to recoup the Raheem Harper fee. This is why they're doing all these things. They could do it for free if they wanted. They did for bloody God knows years, decades.
The Stone Market legend Rich asked a question about the message on the board. Why was that now chargeable? I thought that was a good question from AD Croucher at the fan forum.
What did they say? Because I didn't hear that.
I'm going to paraphrase. I can't remember what obviously Ashton said word for word, but it was on the lines of to make money.
Everything is
disgusting. Yeah. Again. Piss take. I said that Sunday, Rich. They've got to pay for them light bulbs on the scoreboard or something. I don't know. Nonsense. 20 quid. Not even in there. 20 seconds on the screen.
You still get a message in the programme?
Don't know.
Don't ask, because if you can, and they haven't realised they can charge you.
That used to be free, didn't it? Someone said to me today.
10p a letter.
Someone said to me today, you had to pay to get a message on the scoreboard, and I didn't think you did.
No, you don't. You didn't used to.
I didn't think you did either, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean,
I've had messages on there for birthdays and stuff, and no one charged.
I think a lot of it is obviously, Ashton mentioned it himself a little bit in the terms of, we're governed by rules, which are, revenue, profit, sustainability, I think was mentioned. And that's important. If you bring more revenue into the football club, you can obviously spend more revenue in terms of transfer resources, which is the same for any business, whether that's selling mustard, ketchup, or anything else. If you bring more in, you can then put more into marketing, workforce, etc. But isn't there a little bit of short-term, long-term strategy in the sense of, for a short-term hit, 225 on a mascot, £20 on a message, whatever else you want to put into your bugbear, but long-term you're losing potentially out on a wider spectrum of younger town fans because you're pricing them out of the market a little bit, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of what I've, in a roundabout way, is what I've been trying to say. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just don't. Look, the mascot package, so it's about 60 grand across the 23 games is what they'll make. Is that really going to make much of a inroads into our finances on a club that's just spent, what, 3 mil on the pitch, the Premier League pitch? And, had to pay money for Joe Pigott to leave and all that kind of thing. They've wasted a lot of money themselves in making bad decisions. And Ashton himself said the leisure pound is tight. Well, clearly it's not, because they're making things that people are emotionally invested in chargeable. And I don't agree with it. Is there going to be a third strip?
Yes, of course there is. Yeah, never a chance.
That's another for Christmas. Dip in for another 50 notes.
When's that coming out? Did they say?
He said, "Watch this space," and obviously they've just gone off on next year's kit as well.
It's in the back cupboard anyway, because Ian Westlake said when he was doing.
Oh yeah, he did. You're right. You heard that, didn't you? Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's football's nothing without fans. Apparently, I thought we was in a cost of living crisis.
Now you see. And on this note, by the way, you can support the platform at $4.99 a month. I think it's great value. Yeah. You can't beat it.
In your pockets, people.
Because I might drop a link in a minute, and then if you've actually watched it and got something to say on the forum, you can come on and have your say. That's what we do at Talking Town. We don't just say, listen to us. We give you the chance to have your say in your own words, in your own way. But I'm going to say it. I've got no problem charging adults as much as you can get out of them. Wring them out of every single pound if you're Mark Ashton. But it's the younger generation. It's the younger fan. It's the fan of 10 years' time. It's the fan of 20 years' time. What are we doing really sort of tapping into that as a financial market? I don't like it.
It's interesting when you say about that. And I sent you that yesterday, the Newcastle fan, the lad.
Yes.
So it was, what was it, Matt? Was it 1,500 quid? It was through a corporate, wasn't it, to be the mascot?
Yeah, 1,500
They said
quid.
he hadn't had no Christmas presents, no birthday presents. He was saving all his money. I mean, what does he normally get for Christmas? He got the new kit.
He was in wearing the new kit, so he got something, didn't he?
What's that? 100 quid. But then they changed. Then they changed the rules, didn't they? Now it's a ballot system.
I agree with that. It's a pity post, isn't it? Probably from the parents to try and get Newcastle forcing into this kid to do the thing. I mean, fair play to him for saving. That's a great amount of saving. Little entrepreneur there, Martin. Not bad at all.
Yeah. Need to get board of how to get the Discord patrons up a little bit, because he's clearly got something on, in between the ears.
They're trying to force Newcastle's hand via social media, aren't they? He did all this money saving, and now you've changed it. Okay, go and be the mascot for the bloody Liverpool game, wherever it might be.
The orange kit has done phenomenally well. I do remember that from what Ashton was saying.
Yeah, really good kit.
Near enough surpassed last year's away kit, I think, in totality in terms of sales, if I remember what he said correctly. If we're bouncing around here, do put in the comments what you took away from it, what you'd like to mention, what you'd like to talk about. There's a link that's been dropped in the chat. The tickets were mentioned. We're a platform that talks about everything and anything here, and the tickets were mentioned. A policy is being brought out. What that policy will say, I've got zero idea.
Home tickets, away tickets regarding.
I would have thought across the board, Abby.
I just switch off when I hear the word tickets.
You haven't got enough information at the moment.
I haven't got enough energy to devote into what some town fans devote into the tickets, because it consumes people. I think when I look on social media, it's something that is often talked about. We spoke about it on Sunday show. I haven't got any information regarding if it's away or home. I'd imagine it's both, because it was in regards to fans selling tickets at inflationary prices or selling tickets on or whatever.
Look, I've not seen that happening.
I haven't seen it happening. I haven't, but I don't do tickets full stop, really. I mean, it's not something I do. I either don't bother or don't bother. Matt, have you seen it?
No, but I'm not even on Twitter or anything.
Why are you not watching it? Why are you not watching it? What were you doing?
He was working.
How's he been working?
He was working to pay for the Aston Leisure Pound.
Yeah, it's been a tough day down Mill. Hard day down mine. Yeah.
Look, they had to be seen. Look, let's touch on them. We might as well talk about it, Martin. We can't go. We don't go too much into it but I've helped people get tickets. So I would expect, if I'm being honest, I'd expect the club will probably contact me. You know,
right? Okay.
Just to clarify, Rich, you've always just helped people get tickets.
Yeah, I've done nothing wrong. So if they wanted to talk to me, if they know where I am, they know where they've got. Look, they've rung me, they've rung you, they've rung mine before, when
they've called us up on a Sunday evening before. They know where we all are.
You know,
Yeah,
so
I wasn't.
There you go. I'm always at the end of the phone. If they want to have a chat with me, which look, they're fully entitled to, they can do. You know, I'm not hiding.
That's a nice comment there. Dominic makes a good point, doesn't he? Why does Crunch get grief when he helps people out? Well, maybe it's just some of our fan base are a bit.
Well, look, I think Crunch has taken it upon himself, for whatever reason, to be the unofficial ticket exchange, in the sense of if someone messages you, let me know if this is wrong, Rich. Someone messages you to say, Rich, I've got a ticket. Someone messages you to say, Rich, I'm looking for a ticket. You just say, Harry meets Sally, right?
Yeah,
that's what.
I have people all the time. I have people all the time. You would not believe how many people I have saying, I've got a ticket for this game, or you've only got to see the amount of people who are buying tickets for Southampton, right?
Tuesday night, yeah.
And Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday, and I'm trying to sell them, right? They only have to look at social media. So if they want to have a go at me, which is probably the easy target, right? They need to contact these people as well, because
they probably will do, yeah.
So there might be a few people. Look, who knows what's going to happen?
But you are, and I might have read it wrong. I might have read it right. You are the sort of the ticket exchange, because people have been calling for this ticket exchange. Right?
I agree with that. I think that's a really good thing they're going to do. I don't know how they can.
Don't understand how it's going to solve any of the gripes people clearly have on the tickets, because the gripe I can see fundamentally across the board is, let's call them the rich upper tier points, hoover up the tickets, whether they can go or not, to then sell on, not at an inflationary price, I don't think, but they keep their points, you get the ticket. Those at the lower end, the poorer ones among us, on the lower end of the point spectrum, can't then get further up the ladder.
I would say, with regards to that, I don't think it's the people at the top, because we've got so many points already. It's the people in the middle who are looking to climb up the ladder. I would have thought.
Okay, but how's the ticket exchange site stop that? Because that's true. That keeps that fundamental practice of, if you're on 25 points, you're going to buy a ticket and then put it on the exchange site, and you're still not going to increase your points.
I don't know if they say you're not going to be able to do. Look, they're obviously going to bring this policy out, and I think it does probably need to be brought out to see what you can do and what you can't do. Because if you're obviously going through the club, which is the official thing, but I would have thought that would be for home tickets, so you can't make a game.
And then I'm going to go on.
Go on. No, go on.
I was going to say, I'm going to flip it, because after what we've heard tonight about, the revenue streams, how much are they going to charge me to do this ticket exchange? How much am I going to have to pay a membership to be registered on?
I would have thought, Matt, I don't know what you think. I would have thought that more covers your home games. When you can't, say you see ticket, you can't.
I'd imagine
say Tuesday night game, you can't make it. You can put your ticket on there, and someone can buy it for, I don't know if it's what the cost of the ticket, or it might be cheaper. I don't know. Maybe you get a credit. I don't know how they work.
You can pass your ticket on, can't you? I've done it. I did it for the Stoke game when I couldn't go and put it in Mike Woods' name. No problem. contacted the ticket office? Maybe it's the fact that you're going through the official channels is what they.
But with
They want
regards
something.
to an away ticket now, it's your points that people want. So I would have thought if you buy your away ticket and then you can't attend, you would probably have to give it back to the club.
Yeah. But the fact that people keep the point you make though, Martin, where people are like in that middle tier buying tickets to get points, etc. But they're never going to catch up anyway, because the likes of Rich and Colin will go to all the away games anyway. So if you've got that hardcore base, you're never going to catch them up, because every time you get a point, they get a point. So you've always got the same distance between them, haven't you?
Not necessarily, because this season it's carried over. So then whatever we get from this season, it goes into next season. So if you're starting from 5, say you bought a membership, Matt, 5.
Yeah.
I know you're low down on the pecking order to get a match ticket, but I think all the games so far have gone 5 points. And I think, look, Sheffield Wednesday general sale. So there's chances here. There's going to be the majority of games. Look, they're all going to sell out, but you will have a chance to get a point to get up that ladder. You might not get every single game if you wanted to go to, but I'd say for a lot of games, especially like your northern ones, like your Prestons, your Blackburns, your Hulls, there's chances there for people to get on that ladder and get the points to get themselves up, and then it gets carried over into next season, and then you can move your way up.
Isn't the golden goose though the golden egg of all of this, the Norwich tickets?
Yeah.
When do we play them? When do we play them again?
April.
April.
Oh, away. Sorry, away. Yeah.
Away. Yeah. So sorry, away.
And the thing is, really, the membership for me, Martin, for away, if you're going to do like a handful of away games, 40 quid, you might as well not bother.
Yeah,
because it's not getting you. It's not getting you anywhere. I understand that there'll be people buy your membership for home tickets who haven't got a season ticket, because the membership get first dibs when they go on the general sale, which is fair enough. But if you want to go away and you're going to do 5 away games in a season, you might as well just wait and see what tickets you can get, because you're spending 40 quid and you're not really benefiting from that 40 quid.
No. Paul Peace, the Reading game showed up what's happening. 3,000 tickets sold, just over 2,000 people turned up. I don't know if those numbers are actually actual numbers, but it was lower than tickets sold, wasn't it, Rich, for the attendance?
That was just the Reading fans.
But the thing was, and I think the club shouldn't have said you can get a point, because they were 12 quid for that game.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just going to buy your ticket to get the point, which there's nothing to say you can't.
No, absolutely not. Well,
it sounds a bit ill thought out to me, this at the moment. Like that.
Yeah, well, I suppose they were always going to look at a lot of scenarios that could happen, and look, now it's happened. It's been brought to their attention.
So you get the same point for Reading, 12 quid, as you will for Sheffield Wednesday, 40 notes.
It doesn't matter on the price of the ticket. It's a point per game.
And we've got Rob joining us from the Wednesday podcast. We'll get to Wednesday shortly, but we'll just bring in this man right here, Craig. Craig, welcome in. I hope you're well. You're on mute at the moment. Take yourself off mute.
There you go.
Perfect. Right. Fan forum. What is your thoughts tonight on the fan forum?
I think they're all pretty much the same, aren't they? Really, they're pretty much the same sort of questions. Like I said, it's Ashton. On one hand, he's sort of he's there for the kids, the younger generation, and then on the next minute, the mascot packages go up and the prices. And not only the mascot packages gone up, you actually get less now than what you did last year. So last year you used to get 4 free tickets with your mascot package. Now you only get 2.
Your lad's done it, hasn't he, Craig?
Yeah, so we did it last year for the Wickham game, and it was a great experience for him. And I think I paid 175 last year, so it's gone up 50 quid. And even things like greeting, obviously now you can do it separately for the greeting the players off the bus, obviously before the game. But the mascots used to do that, so it's another thing that they've lost out on. So they've put the prices up. We've also restricting what they do. I think the only thing they do differently now, I think the mascots get food there. As soon as previously they didn't. I think they now get a food. I don't know what sort of food it is, but yeah, for me. Yeah, the money thing, like the scoreboard thing, I get it. It's their business. And if we want to get to the Premier League and progress, they need to make money. But I think there's other ways of making money than charging
Yeah,
£20 a
Yeah.
birthday greeting on a scoreboard. It's like you said, I think, Matt, you said it lasts no longer than 10 seconds and it's gone.
Exactly.
So for 20 quid, it's a lot of money. Yeah, and then also on the ticket thing, obviously me and Rich, we've spoken about it for the last few days and had our laughs about it. But I think no matter where you get to in the scale, there's always going to be the people below that are going to be doing the same thing. So the people in the middle are moaning that the people higher up are buying the tickets just to resell them. But then there's nothing stopping someone on 5+ points still doing the same thing because they want to protect their interests for next season or further on in the year. We're all human. Everyone's going to do it. So I think the people that are moaning the most are the ones, obviously, that it's filtering through a bit slower than the ones at the top. But like me, I've said to Rich that the people on the high priority points ultimately are going to the games. So,
Right, yeah, by and large,
Same old people. Same old people, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, this is the reason why we've got the high points because we went to the games last year. We're going to the games this year. So, but then I also understand people want to get on the ladder. But even with they're saying about the touting and stopping it, people just go behind closed doors and do it. It won't be as advertised as what it is on Twitter at the minute. So I don't really know how you solve it.
Yeah, but then you take that risk. They take that risk. Then if they get caught, you're going to get. I don't know. We just need to wait until they bring this policy out, and then everyone's aware of what you can, what you can't do. Because at the minute, you're a little bit in the dark.
But you'd think that they would have brought the policy out before they brought the actual system in. Because bringing the system in, let's be honest, if other Premier League clubs have got this system and other teams have got this system, you know what the flaws are in the system.
Yeah. It's a blueprint there already.
It's ridiculous that we're 5 games in and the club couldn't predict that this was going to happen.
No, very true.
I think there was another question as well where I think someone asked. I think it was quite a good question. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but I think they hadn't even thought of it themselves.
It was when you purchase your season ticket every year. So when the forms come through, there are boxes to tick for foundation, for town TV, for memberships, etc. That you can add it into the cost overall and then spread it across the year as one, one-stop shop. And Luke Warren was very, as Craig was saying there, very happy with that. Haven't thought about it ourselves. Sounds great. Can't see why we can't do that, etc.
But I'd go one further because you can also add on there things like your kits. Because you look at kits now, they're bringing out free kits. Like Jake's got literally every kit going. He's already 3 kits in for this season. They're expensive. I'm lucky at the minute. He's still in the 6 to 7 where you get the kit all as one.
Yeah.
But even then, I would add on to that you look at last year, the kit was 50 quid and you got the socks with it. This year, you don't. This year, you have to buy the socks separate. So it has. But next year, obviously, when you've got to buy it all individually, like he's got the goalkeeper's kit with a name on it, it's just under 100 quid. So
there you go.
So you could tick that onto your membership thing as well, where you prepay for it at the start of the season, and it's done over your direct debit over the 12 months, maybe, because it isn't cheap, especially when you look at like Sheffield Wednesday tickets. You add it all into the mix, what people are spending. It can be thousands easily.
It will be by the end of the year.
And let's not forget, teams far less well off than us, like Accrington Stanley, going to local schools and actually give their shirts out to all the kids. I know they're competing against bigger clubs in the Northwest, but still, that's revenue they've lost out on, and a great gesture, I think.
Yeah.
Anything else, Craig, before I let you go? Because I've got to bring Rob in just a second to talk about Wednesday. So anything else?
Obviously the cobble stand, but same again is you've got to sustain a capacity of what we are at the minute for a longer period before you knock that down, I think. I think that's what they've said. Yeah. You can't just do it on a one-season wonder. And then 2 years we're back in...
like what happened last time.
You've got again.
Was Town TV mentioned, Craig?
Not really, but
no.
I've just cancelled my subscription because I don't get nothing for it.
You don't see the point. You're at all the games. And there's not much exclusive content on there, is there? You can't see on YouTube.
Gov said that earlier, and I think you said it, Craig. So tonight, the forum, why is that not behind the paywall?
The only thing I'm getting is, rather than Town in 5, I'm getting Town in 5 plus extra time.
It's not really worth £5.99 a
It's
month.
back.
Even,
What are you moaning
even
about?
then, it's just 5 minutes of pre-kickoff stuff.
Yeah.
And
you're there for it anyway. So you're seeing it firsthand. It's like,
I think that's the thing as well. Is a lot of the Town TV stuff, really, it's more suitable probably for people that don't go to the games because they get it build up before the matches. When you're, they don't even have it on in the fan zone. You can't even watch it in the fan zone. So
they did in the Pioneers. They did in the West Stand. They had it in there. I watched Ambrose and Alan Lee. I think at the Cardiff game. I think you could see them at the end of the game talking about the match. But yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Maybe it's more slanted to the overseas audience, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Craig, we appreciate you coming on, my man. Thanks for clicking the link.
Right,
Look after yourself. I'm with Craig, as I said earlier to you guys. Today's fan forum should have been for the premium members, and then a more abbreviated highlights version released a couple of hours, maybe tomorrow, for the non-paying members, because you've got to start putting content for the pound, haven't you? Like,
I'm amazed no one's asked that question this evening. Funny we've been there.
No one dares. Right, we're being joined by Rob from BBC Sheffield in just a moment. Before we do, Wednesday this weekend, what are our thoughts heading into it, gentlemen? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Are we excited, nervous? International break. Where's Burns' injury? Matt, you first. How are you feeling heading into it?
Yeah, no, I'm not too nervous about this one, probably because it's a familiar foe to us, and obviously they came up with us, and you know we've battled out 2 quite entertaining 2-2 draws with them. You know, we've made improvements regardless of what you think of the window. We've brought players in. I know they've brought in a new keeper from AC Milan, I think, but I'm looking at their team here. Don't know much difference to what it was last season. I think that's borne out by the fact they're second from bottom in the table. So look, I feel like if we went there last season and we quite rapidly went 2-0 up, didn't we, before we blew it, we could easily do the same again. But will Wes be a miss? Yep, most likely, but a chance for somebody else. Be it Amari on the right or Caden Jackson. He had a good game there last season, scored that great goal inside the first 2-3 minutes. So, yeah, I feel confident about this weekend, frankly.
I have a think about who you might see replacing Burns. We'll come back to that before we end tonight's show. But Rich, are we still able to call him Crumble, or are we still? Are we not? Able
I've just been on them. I was on it with James from Wednesday till I die, doing the match preview. I don't know if anyone has seen it in the chat and you two. So Chanziri's come out today with a statement.
Yes.
And I said to Craig, I started reading it. I had a cup of tea. It was boiling hot. By the time I got to the end, it was stone cold. It was. It's an absolute. Their club at the minute is an absolute shambles. You know, instead of concentrating on the game on Saturday, he's come out the owner and said, "Well, I've bought it out in the international break. Hang on, this is Wednesday afternoon. We've got a game in 2.5 days on Saturday." But I still think, right, I know they haven't started great and they've only got 1 point, but they drew with Leeds last time. I still think it'd be a tough game for Town, and we need to be on it, because if we're not, we've seen you can get out. We went to QPR and we thought, they're not very good.
Yeah.
We were lucky to come away with a win there, really. We could have got turned over there. We had a bit of luck. So I'm under no illusions. We go to Hillsborough. Tough place to go. For me, it's a lot of it Saturdays if you get that first goal, guys, because when we went there last season, we went 2-0 up. I know Matt Stannard, he's not going because what was happening, and their fans were throwing stuff at the line. You know, he got lively. So we need to play on that, because obviously they're club at the minute. I think James said 121 days, Matt, since promotion at Wembley. All of that positive is literally gone. They've got no positives because the mess that they're in. So we really need to play on that. Get that first goal and get the crowd on their backs. If it goes the other way and they score, we've been to Hillsborough before. We know it's a tough place to go. So I think a lot of it on Saturday is the first goal. Can we go there and win? Of course we can go there and win. We should be really confident. We got 4 wins out of 5, 1 defeat in 23, and they're a bit of a mess, but it will still be hard.
Okay. Well, joining us now live is Rob, manager at BBC Sheffield, sports journalist and commentator. He's also a Seahawks fan, but we won't hold that against him. Rob, welcome. How are you, my friend? Are you well?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, guys. And as you rightly said there, it's been quite an eventful day with Sheffield Wednesday because of this big statement that's come out. And it was 1,878 words. I didn't count that, by the way. It's a copy and paste job.
Oh, it's words.
Yeah. No, I used Pages
What's he,
on Apple. So there we
what's
go.
What's he griping about then, Rob? Is it still the sort of this back and forth with Darren Moore? Is this what the crux is?
Yeah. So basically, what happened was Darren Moore left, and it was a huge shock because obviously Wednesday just got promoted. You know, I was actually walking to Old Trafford with one of the guys I work with to go and watch England play North Macedonia. We parked up, we've got out of the car, and then all of a sudden on Twitter it says Darren Moore's left Sheffield Wednesday, and we were like, "What?" Huh? Yeah, and we were on a bridge in between Media City and Old Trafford, just ringing everybody that we knew, trying to find out what the hell was going on. So you've gone from that. The next day, the chairman does a fans forum, which went on for 5 hours. And he said, you know, because inevitably the first question was, or the second question, I think the first question was just a fan providing a statement to tell the chairman how amazing it was. And then the second question was to just say, what's happened with Darren Moore? And he said, we're not going to talk about it. We've agreed not to talk about it. If he wants to talk about it, that's up to him. I was happy to talk about it. He didn't want to. We're going to move on, whatever. So we thought we'd never hear the real reasons why Darren Moore left. It'd just be parts, and that was it. And then a few weeks later, the chairman, or it may not have been a few weeks, it might have been like 2 weeks. The chairman has his say and releases a statement saying he basically wanted too much money. He revealed that Darren Moore wanted to quadruple his salary, which was, you know, the thought of a chairman putting that out in a statement is remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then obviously we expected Darren Moore was going to have his response to this either through the League Managers Association or by some other means, and he didn't. So we thought that was it. You know, that was the end of it, and that was that. But he eventually did have his say. He did an interview with Sky like a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. And then he spoke to some of the local newspaper journalists the same day. So he had his say. And then again, we thought, well, this is out there again. He rejected that it was about money and said it was about vision. It's back in the news. And then here we are. You know, we anticipated that the chairman would have to have his say again. And we thought it would happen quite quickly. It hasn't. It's happened today. He has said he's done it now during the international breaks. He doesn't want it to be a distraction for the team. People are ringing our phone in today saying, well, why have you done it now? Like, it's 3 days before the next game. Why didn't you do it last week? And some of the stuff in there is incredible. I mean, it explains details on what he was asking for as a salary. At one point, it references that he basically wanted to move on from a player, Ben Hennigan, who suffered a really serious injury last year, who's still training with the team to get back to fitness. That Darren Moore essentially wants to release him and stuff like that. At one point, the chairman seems to make a pitch for being considerably responsible for the Peterborough-Hillsborough miracle. Come
on as a sub.
Well, he says that he sat down the sports psychologist, the manager, and the captain, and said, "Come on, we've got to believe you can do this." And he seems to be suggesting in that point there that he had a big role to play in the comeback. So it's a remarkable statement. It's gone down like an absolute wet blanket with the fans. It's
and that could live.
Imagine. Yeah.
They've had a ridiculous 107 days since Wembley. With Darren Moore going, I don't know if you saw it, but when they appointed Xisco, the current manager, we were there at the press conference, and the chairman went on an epic rant at Carlton Palmer while the new manager was just sat there.
We've all seen that.
I mean, I was in the front row, and I'm sat there thinking, what is this? It's the club could not, Sheffield Wednesday have not been in the Premier League for 23 years, and it's been a pretty miserable 23 years. There's not been the fleeting promotion from League One. They've had 3 promotions from League One. The fact that they've had to do that 3 times says it all, really. And they had a near promotion back to the Premier League in 2016 when they got to the playoff final in the Championship. But apart from that, it's been a couple of decades of misery. And they just, for the first time, thought, there's something. What are the Peterborough game, the Wembley, back in the Championship, and the last 107 days since then have just been. It's farcical, frankly.
Yeah. You mentioned. Go on, Matt. Go on.
I was going to say. I mean, when you say 2 decades of misery, you could easily be talking about us as well.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. You know, I can't remember. You know, you'll have to forgive me. I can't remember the year that Ipswich left the Premier League.
2002, I think, Rich.
So okay, so it's quite similar then.
Yeah, very similar. I mean, look, we lucked out. We got this American ownership come through. Surely Sheffield Wednesday fans must be thinking, isn't there anyone on the other side of the Atlantic who maybe could come in and take over? And, you know, because you are a bit, I class Sheffield Wednesday as a big club.
Huge club.
Hillsborough, old school stadium, classic stadium. You got all the ingredients, great fan base, passionate fan base, and the worst owner in the world.
I mean, the club, it's obviously a traditional, what you'd call a traditional English football club, and it has got, you know, a big fan base. You could see that at Wembley. I think it was something like 46,000 in the end that went to Wembley. So it's got a fan base. It's a traditional English football club, and if you could get it back to a level, I mean, look, it's hard to say these days because, you know, like 20 years ago, you'd call something like Sheffield Wednesday a sleeping giant, but these days, you know, you're just as likely to be playing in like someone's backyard like Brighton were and end up where Brighton are now. You're just as likely to be a Bournemouth and be in the Premier League. Like club size doesn't really matter as much these days. So, but you are right. I think the fans are at a point now, an increasing number of fans. And let me be absolutely clear with this. There are a lot of fans who are still very supportive of Dejphon Chansiri. That this is a man who has put in, you know, anywhere between 150 and 180 million pounds. And no one's ever done that at Sheffield Wednesday before. So there are fans who think, for the fact that he's put his money where his mouth is, they feel loyal to Dejphon Chansiri, and they defend him. And you will often find this on Twitter. If you post anything that can be perceived as slightly negative about Sheffield Wednesday, there is always a fan willing to come on and say that you have an agenda, or that you hate the club, or that you are supporting some, I don't know, whether it's another team, an interested party buying the football, whatever it is. There's always that element to it. So I have to be fair with that and say that there is that element of fans there. But there's an increasing number of fans who are thinking it's time for a change. And with everything that's gone on this summer, and, you know, there's the stuff with the manager, and there's the relief statements and all of this. I think the thing that's probably hurt more people than anything is the ticket prices. Which
Again,
it's 51 quid, isn't it, to go in the South Stand if you're not a member?
Wow.
And if you buy online, you have to pay £1 as a service charge as well. So, you know, somebody made a point on our show yesterday. They sent a message in saying, you know, students come back to university this week, and Sheffield's got a really vibrant student population. You know, when I went to Lincoln Uni, I want to watch Lincoln play all the time because I was 5 minutes down the road, purely because I like a bit of football. Now, if I was a student in Sheffield, I'd probably think, if I've never been to Hillsborough or the Lane, I'd think I'm going to go. Why not? Not for 51 quid, though.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. No, absolutely. And particularly after the start, you sort of made, you're 5 games in. You mentioned Isisco's taking over. How is well, it's not gone well. Let's not cover it up. It's not gone brilliantly well starting back in the Championship. How do you think they'll come out of the international break? Will they have changed many things? Will they look to maybe a system tweak? How's it gone? What do you expect?
I mean, it's gone poorly. There's absolutely no doubt. So I think the feeling was, I mean, it's crazy, guys. I was at Ipswich against Wednesday in February. And Wednesday were 2-0 up in that game. And Michael Smith, there was a bad back pass or something. And Michael Smith run past the keeper. And we were saying on commentary, if he stuck that in, I think half the stand behind the goal might have just gone home, because they were angry at the manager, angry at the team. It looked like at that point Ipswich were ready to implode.
Yep.
And then there was that magical free kick before half time. It ends up being a draw, and you guys didn't look back from there. And when that was 2-0, you're thinking, when's he going to win the title? And then Wednesday only just got up in the end. Like, it was the most dramatic playoff situation ever, to go up by the skin of the teeth. But people looked at the team and thought, it needs a lot of work. You know, it needs some quality. It needs some youth. It needs some legs. I'm afraid to say that they've brought in about 12 players, and I don't think they've improved the team much at all. I mean, maybe Buckley, who's coming from Blackburn, will do that. There's a lot of high expectations for him, but they've brought in unknowns from Europe. They've signed
a keeper, the kid from PSG.
Yeah. You see, I don't know whether the keeper's any better than Cam Dawson, who was, diehard Sheffield Wednesday fan, was really emotional when they won at Wembley, didn't do anything wrong last season, helped set a club record for clean sheets, and suddenly finds himself on the bench. People like Will Volks, who just, do a really good job for Wednesday getting up. They're I'd suggest no better or worse than the players they've signed, yet suddenly find themselves at Marvin Johnson's frozen out completely, and yet the club's turning down a loan offer from Derby on deadline day to basically pay most of his salary. And now he's not even eligible to play because he's not in their named in their squad. It makes no sense.
Is all roads still through Bannon, Rob? Is he still the key player for you?
Oh, look, everybody associates Sheffield Wednesday and Barry Bannon because he's been there a long time. He's the captain. He's a very good player. I wouldn't necessarily say that all roads go through him. I mean, at the minute, I'd suggest all roads don't go through anybody apart from the defence at times. It's they've not
Great
played.
Comment.
They've not played very well. It's I have to say I think the one thing you could say is I fully expect them to get an absolute tonking at Leeds, and they drew 0-0.
Very true.
But there's a difference between going to Ellen Road as the extreme underdog and playing with the idea of a draw would be a good result, and hosting Ipswich at the weekend with the home fans. I mean, if Wednesday do what they did at Ellen Road and just put everyone behind the ball and hang on for a 0-0 against Ipswich, there's going to be a very different outlook to that, isn't there, than when they get to Leeds, relegated from the Premier League, expected to get a hatful. If it was at Portland Road, they'd do exactly what they did at Ellen Road. But the fact that it's at Hillsborough, there's going to be a bit more expectation on Wednesday to show a bit more, and that's been the issue. They've tried everything. They've tried numerous formations, numerous styles of play. They're not creating anything. They don't look like a threat in attack, whether that's personnel or tactics. It might be a bit of both. I still think he's trying to work out what his best team is, what his best style of play is. That said, I don't want to lull any Ipswich fans into a false sense of security if the result goes against you guys at the weekend and you all think, what was that idiot from Radio Sheffield on about? Because it's the Championship, isn't it? Any given Saturday, and I would never suggest that any team's nailed on to win a game in this division. But that said, I can't lie. This has been an incredibly challenging period, and the new manager's come in. He has been he was incredibly charismatic and engaging to start with. In press conferences now, he's been quite combative, shall we say, and defensive at times, and I think he needs some results to win some fans round.
Rob, quick question for you. What was I going to? Well, I've bloody forgotten what I was going to say. Yes. With Sheffield Wednesday blowing up like they did last season, do a lot of Wednesday fans think Ipswich were lucky to get promoted? The fact we got promoted because you opened the doors for us?
No, I've not heard anybody say that. That I saw Ipswich against Barnsley, and bear in mind I was also at Barnsley's home game against Plymouth and Barnsley's home game against Sheffield Wednesday, and they played Plymouth off the park, Barnsley, and they played Wednesday off the park for like 20 minutes, but still won 4-2. So they, Ipswich are the only team that went to Oakwell and like dominated the game for the whole 90 minutes. And I think Wednesday fans and Barnsley fans, for that matter, in our region, just had a lot of respect for what Ipswich achieved. You can't help but do that. Look, definitely Sheffield Wednesday blew it to an extent, but Ipswich didn't win the odd game to capitalise. I mean, it was it was an absolute tour de force, wasn't it? I mean, it was just every week, and
almost 50 goals in that final third of the season.
They became an unstoppable force. So, yes, Wednesday to an extent. The fact that what we were all talking about was Wednesday have messed this up. I mean, that Forest Green game where Wednesday, I don't know if you watched that on Sky, but wow. I mean, I was there, and you had to sort of rub your eyes and go, what have I just watched? And there were a few other performances that weren't much better. So for that reason, yes, Wednesday blew it for that. But the way that Ipswich and Plymouth just were relentless at the end, I think most Wednesday fans, they were more critical of their own team and manager than suggesting that Ipswich or Plymouth were lucky.
So you mentioned how bad things have been at the start of the year there, Rob. But how do Wednesday play? What sort of strengths have they got to their play? I have to ask this every week, and sometimes even I don't know if I like the question or not when I'm asking it. But I have to try and give the fans at home the full spectrum of what they can expect from the opposition. So what's the strengths? What's the weaknesses?
Well, I mean, look, it's a perfectly acceptable question. The answer is, I haven't got a clue. Like, I don't think anybody does. Like, I've sat there watching the games thinking, I don't know what they're trying to do here. Like, look, I'm not trying to be funny. Like, this is the serious. This is what we've been talking about on the radio. There's been a few games where you just think, I'm not really sure what the ideas are here, what the tactics are. They went 1-0 down against Preston North End at home, and in the second half, there was nothing. There was not 5 minutes where they were in that second half where they were like pouring forward and pressurizing the goal. It just played out like a friendly almost. Like, well, it's finished 1-0, but it was a good workout. You know, that was kind of what it felt like. And then it was easy to sort of have an idea of what they were doing at Leeds because it was backs to the wall, let's hang on for a point. So in the other games, it has been quite hard. Like, Xisco came in with this suggestion of attacking, pressing football. But then in Southampton, it was, I called it in our show, it wasn't so much a low block. It was a Mariana Trench block. It was everybody stand on the goal line block. It was, they had about 20% of possession in the game. It was, it is difficult to answer the question as to what is the style of play. I honestly don't know. If I was to sort of say what is probably the best thing, it's probably to just repeat the Leeds thing and hope that they get a set piece, a chance, a pen, win 1-0,
lump it
go and
long.
have a beer. Like that might be the best thing. But again, you're at Hillsborough. There aren't going to be as many fans there as otherwise will be because of the prices. But there's, it's a home crowd, expectant home crowd who are yet to see a win in the league, and I think that they'll expect to see more than that. So I would imagine they're gonna. I mean, it could be anything. The formation could be anything. The team could be anything. It's so unpredictable.
Okay. Last question before I let you go, Rob. Enjoy your Wednesday evening. Can Gino Smith lead the Seahawks to the playoffs? No. There we go.
Probably not. I mean, listen. Can we talk about something positive? Like,
I'm a Bears fan, Rob.
That was a good England win. That was a good England win last night.
It was great.
Why didn't you ask me about that? It could be really positive for 5 minutes.
Okay, before you go in, Rob, me and Rich were discussing this last night. Who's better at the moment, Bellingham or De Bruyne? And can you think of another midfielder that's better than Bellingham? He was phenomenal last night. I know it was against Scotland, but still, superb for 20.
De Bruyne is the OG, isn't he? But Bellingham seems to be scoring all of Real Madrid's goals. He seems to be contributing and scoring all of England's. Do you know what the thing about Bellingham is? Don't you just love his kind of cocky in a good way? Don't you just love that? Yeah. Like when he's celebrating the goals, he's kind of like he's got that winner's mentality.
Apparently, Rob, as well. Didn't we all laugh when Birmingham retired his shirt?
Yeah, we did. Well, listen,
he did. Yeah,
he did.
They could do whatever they could call themselves Jude Bellingham FC for all I care. The guy he's insanely good. And the great thing is look, I'm a mad England. I'm in the England Travel Club. I love watching England play. I'm desperate to see England win something. When you see Jude Bellingham playing like that, and like he's been playing for Real Madrid, you can dare to dream, can't you, that absolutely either next summer or maybe at the World Cup or whatever, he's 20. But hopefully we've got 10 years of his peak. So there's a few tournaments in between there. Well, I'd really hope that we can win something, and this guy's legit.
He really is.
Rob, his brother's not bad.
So who's that?
His brother at Sunderland. He's decent.
Yeah, I've not seen him. I think I've seen him once. I think I've seen him once against Rotherham. So, and I think he came off the bench. So, listen, I hope he's as good. Get him in there. Let's have 2 of them.
Yeah, the Bellingham brothers.
Really? Well, that really piss every other nation off if we had 2 Jude Bellinghams. That'd be great.
That would be brilliant. It really would. Yeah, love it. Rob, thank you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
Rob.
Thank you so much.
Top man.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, the invite.
Look after yourself. Thank you. Appreciate it. Rob there from BBC Sheffield. Really fascinating, insightful chat. How are you feeling now then, gentlemen? I asked you before. Now you've heard from Rob. How are you feeling now?
God. Well, you could kind of guess maybe that he was going to say some of those things, I suppose. But they certainly feel like they've blown the momentum they had. After that Peterborough defeat in the first leg, come back and win the second against the odds, go to Wembley. What was it, Rich? Last touch of the game, practically, wasn't it? Windass gets the winner, and it's just gone downhill since then, hasn't it?
I was talking when I was on with James earlier, and you think, no, Town comes second, and we had a great run at the end of the season, right? And we all celebrated we went up. But Wednesday went up the best way, Got smashed 4-0 in the first leg. Everyone was laughing at them, weren't they?
Yeah.
All over. Wednesday blown up. Come back and win 5-1 at home. And, yeah. Win 5-1, win on penalties. Then they go to Wembley, score a last-minute winner in extra time.
Great memories.
This is brilliant. It's like Roy the Rovers stuff. And then since then, it's literally gone.
Yeah.
Because they burst their own balloon. A time when they really could have galvanised themselves.
You mean internally? Internally.
Internally. The whole momentum they built up, the atmosphere you could have created off that. We've come back when everybody and their mum counted us out. They said it couldn't be done. This is what we are. This is who we are. We are together until our dying breath. We do not relent. We do not give. And Darren Moore could have really fostered a whole culture out of what happened.
Yes.
They burst their own balloon.
Yeah.
And now it's, well, who are we? What are we? What formation? What players? What are we good at? What are we not good? It was, what a moment in a bottle to really capture, and just lightning in a bottle. And I've never seen a club implode as much so quickly.
Weird, isn't it? Yeah. I quite like that Michael Smith, the guy up top. Even though he missed that, as Rob said then, missed the sitter against us. I still think he'd probably fit into our team quite nicely as a hold-up player, someone who can, use aerial threat up front. We'll see. See what he brings to the table on Saturday, eh?
We certainly will. Now, I've highlighted 3 positions this weekend, which I think, could be up for grabs. We'll start with the right back. Harry Clark has been wearing the shirt so far, obviously managing that Achilles at the moment. Brandon Williams is coming on loan from United, had the international break. Is it the time to give Williams the start, Matt, or is Harry going to keep the shirt for you? That's why it's called an opinion, Matt.
What about Janoy? Is he still unfit?
Well,
no one knows.
Okay. If you've got a question for the press conference, we can do that bit now if you like instead, because if that's your question.
I would like to see. Look, I still don't see why Brandon Williams would have come here if he wasn't going to play games. I actually caught up with the Andy Warren interview of Axel as well in the week, and he said the same thing. There's certain criteria I want them to meet when I come here. That's to get playing time. So he's been looking to get in the squad, not obviously for this game particularly, but I think Williams could have gone to anyone he'd wanted to. Really, we can't have been the only club in for him. So I think he'll be looking for minutes, and I think he could well get it this weekend. Yeah, absolutely.
Rich, Williams Saturday or Clark Saturday?
Look, he struggled in that last game against Cardiff at home. It just looks, Martin, that he's missing that sort of what's his Achilles, that sort of spring.
Yeah, so you said, when it explosiveness.
And if he's carrying that injury, and if JD's fit, obviously we hope he is, because we want everyone fit. We want to have selection issues. No, look, only the club know how serious it is. But when you heard the other week that they're tailoring his training, he's not training all the time. So obviously it's an issue for him. Is it going to go away? This is what I'd love to know. Is it going to go away? The club are not going to tell us. We know that. But I think Saturday you bought in Brandon Williams, and
what go away? Sorry, I missed the question. I was reading the chat.
Is it a case of just rest, or it could be in the end he might have to have an operation. I don't know, because no one knows how serious it is. He doesn't look. But then he's playing at a high level. So last season, them sort of mistakes that when he gave the first goal against Cardiff when he's got pulled inside and he's give the winger too much space out wide. You probably last season, Matt, we're probably going to get away with it against not such high caliber players. And if you make mistakes in this league and you give people time, they'll hurt you. So I think Saturday is probably the time. Give Brandon Williams, let's see what he can do, because we bought him in. He's played in the Premier League for Man United 50 games. He's played Champions League football. So he should be chomping at the bit to get a start. So I think Saturday is probably the time to bring him in and let's see what he can do.
You both say Williams. The majority of the chat say Williams. Paul P says start Williams. Max is not overly enthused by any of our right-back options. Very asymmetrical with Davis and Broderick being so good on the left. Parry thinks Williams might be the best to start. And Harps also says I'd prefer Williams to start. Very quickly, the central midfielder 2, do you keep them the same, or is it finally time to hand the reins to Jack Taylor, Mr. Moss?
Well, you wanted him to play since
every week.
Well, I think we all thought he would probably start at Sunderland when Luongo missed some pre-season games, and then when we turned up at the Stadium of Light and his name was on the team sheet. Look, we can't say he's not let us down one bit. So when we signed him, it was a little bit one of them where you're thinking, blimey, we've signed someone who's not played. When did he last play? Didn't play at Middlesbrough, did he, Matt?
No, for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah. So and he didn't have a great injury record there. So when we signed him, we probably thought, blimey. But look, Luongo's been fantastic. But I thought against Leeds and more against Cardiff, you need legs in this league. I know he's had a rest, and if Jack Taylor doesn't start Saturday, I think he plays Tuesday. I don't think Luongo.
That's a big game, though, isn't it, to come in for your sort of
Southampton. Yeah. But they're all big games, and whoever comes in,
experience away from home at next Premier League side, that's where Massimo comes into his fore, isn't it? You would have thought if you're looking at the two fixtures without a date.
You're looking at the next game, and I think if Taylor gets in and he plays Saturday, I don't think you're going to. You want to try and give him. You don't want to keep chopping and changing. I want to see what he can actually do with a run of games, because I thought when he came on against Cardiff, I think he went really under the radar, Martin. I think people spoke about obviously what Amari done, but I thought Jack Taylor, everything he done was excellent. I think you got to bide your time, and this might be the time that you sooner or later you're going to have to break up that midfield partnership. I just think we're playing against better players. You need the legs in there. I'm not saying Luongo isn't, but they're both I think Sam Morsey, he was 32 the other day. It was his birthday. They're both the other side of 30, right? And you need the legs. You need the up and down. I think Jack Taylor can get you a goal. He can pick you a pass. And how long did we chase him for? So sooner or later, you're going to have to say, right, Jack, this is your opportunity. We're going to throw you in. Then it's up to him to go and take it.
I've just had that moment where I've realised for the first time probably in my life, the Ipswich Town captain's younger than I am. And I'm not quite sure how to process it. I'm old.
Welcome to the club, Martin.
That's like seeing young policemen, isn't it? For the first time, you're like,
yeah. This guy just come out of
Sam
school.
Moss is 32. Yeah. Oh, man, that's depressed me. Right. And then right midfield. Sorry, it's thrown me for a minute, legitimately.
I think what Rich has kind of persuaded me there a bit. I was going in with Massimo most likely against his former club. Bit of a nightmare for Taylor last time he was there. You could give Massimo 60 minutes and Taylor comes on for half hour. But maybe that is the game. The fact that Rob told us that, we don't know what their tactics are going to be. They could sit back. That might be a really good game to introduce Taylor. And then maybe where you think you go to St Mary's on Tuesday and think that, we're going to be under a bit more threat. I would have thought maybe that's where Massimo comes in. So, maybe Taylor is the one. Yeah.
Okay. Suffolk Spiders, I get way more from this platform than Town TV. Appreciate that. If you like Suffolk Spiders, come a fifth stand, hit the join button, or go to Co54.99 a month. I don't think it's £1 cheaper than Town TV. Win-win. Right midfield. That's the only area really I've highlighted that it's not up for grabs. It's going to have a replacement in there. Who replaces Wesley Burns? Matthew Phillips.
Well, this is an interesting one because I feel like whoever comes into that slot has got to have a decent partnership with Williams. You don't want them to be strangers. The fact that Davis and Broadhead work so well together on that left, as someone said in the chat there. You really want that kind of partnership, and it's most likely going to be a newer face. I would have thought probably Amari, given that he had such a good cameo when he come on against Cardiff, but and Jackson isn't. Well, I don't really think Jackson is. He's suited that position in League One, but is he going to have the same impact in the Championship, albeit against the former League One side? I feel like whoever McKenna goes with, he'll feel like he's got a good partnership with Williams, if indeed he does come in.
Can I throw a curveball into the mix for you there,
Go
Rich?
for
What about
it.
Williams at the right side instead of Burns in front of a Harry Clark? Because we know Williams has that power risk going forward. We know he's got ability going forward, but also he offers a lot defensively, whereas away from home, Hillsborough, a big stadium, lots of noise. We've mentioned that earlier part of the show about, the atmosphere there. Could that be a lot defensively for someone like a Hutchinson coming in, a young player, to take onto his plate? Could Williams be a surprise name that is in that circle?
That's probably one that people haven't really sort of looked at, but
Another option.
I see him more as he's more of a fullback. But then you are away from home. But I think you hit the nail on the head there, Matt. We are playing Sheffield Wednesday, and like we had Rob there, he doesn't think they've improved. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything to fear with, and I don't really think playing a defender in a position that's probably a little bit alien to him, Well, you could go, if you drop in 3 centre backs and then he plays as a wing back, you could do that. Nothing to say that Kieran wouldn't. Personally, I'd play Caden. I think he's never let Kieran McKenna down. McKenna always, whenever you hear him talk about Caden, he's always glowing in his sort of what he's done, and he played well there last season, didn't he? Sheffield Wednesday brought him in, he scored a goal. I think he got an assist. So that's the way I would go. But then you have brought Amari in for a reason. Sooner or later, you're going to have to let him off the leash. I think if it was at home, you're playing Sheffield Wednesday and it was a home game, I think Amari probably might start. But I think you're going to Hillsborough, I think he might be a little bit more cautious and he'll play Caden. Because you know what you're going to get from Caden. You're going to get hard work both ways. So I'm not saying Amari doesn't work hard, but I think you can bring him on maybe later in the game. So I think Jack.
Use the bench, as we keep saying. Use the bench. What did Beep say to us? Squad game now, isn't it, with all the subs? So yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. Score predictions. I've asked a random contributor this week. I have asked Amy Downs, who was on People Behind Brands. If you've not listened to it, go and find it on all your good podcasting platforms. People Behind Brands. I have gone, because of my family connections and the fact that we just don't get results normally against teams that have family connections attached. I've gone 2-1 Wednesday, trying to tempt Mother Fate into a mistake. Hopefully she obliges. Amy's gone 2-0 Town. She's a lot more optimistic than I am. What do you two say? Either score on the screen correct for you, or do you have another one? Rich?
I think it's a dangerous game, isn't it? What do you call them? A trap game, Gov?
Absolutely a trap game.
Everything about Wednesday is stinking the place out. Everything is negative.
Not one yet.
Yeah, I've not heard anything positive, and I've not heard a Wednesday fan. I listen to their podcast. I think it's great, Wednesday Till I Die. But I've not heard anything positive for weeks on there. So it's a dangerous game for Town. We just had a break as well. How do we come back from that? But I think we have to be confident. We're going there. We won 4 out of 5. They're 1 point. 2-1 Town.
Okay. Dom Dean's gone 9-0. 9-0. Hubbs has gone 6-0 Town. Craig is absolutely disgusted with me. I'm just trying to play the game. John B says 3-0. Wednesday to be 2.20 down if we go into the lead. Oh, okay, I get it. Right, £2.20 down if we go into the lead. Matt?
I can see Amy's scoreline. I can see it's a 2-0. Something tells me that. So, you've had the international break. Maybe something will turn for Sheffield Wednesday. I don't think we're going to lose the game. I can't see us losing the game. But it could be a 1-1, maybe a 2-1 Town. I don't think we'll lose it. I'm more worried about the Southampton game. But again, we don't know what's going to come from them after they got drubbed 5 at Sunderland. I just hope we can get the 3 points. It'd be fantastic to get 3 points, but it will be tough. It will be tough. Absolutely.
And one question you'd like asked at the press conference which I think will be tomorrow, if not Friday. Obviously, we're live before the press conference. So if you could put yourself in the press conference, what is one question you'd like to have asked? Media mogul first, obviously being a media aficionado.
What's the update with all the injuries and what was wrong with them? That's what I'd want. Like, Hurst fit, Danasian fit, how long for Burns out? I don't feel like we get that information anymore. And as we've said, Martin, in American sports, you know exactly what's wrong with everybody.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Rich?
He's a bit of a worry for me. I said to James, George Hurst has been here and he's done really well. This is the third injury, guys, that he's had. He got injured at Fleetwood on the last day of the season.
Everyone forgets that, yeah.
He's missed the Leeds game for an injury, and then he's come back against Cardiff, and he's got another injury. Now, what is it Gov says? Best ability? He's availability. Now, it's only a minor worry for me at the minute, but
it's a good point.
He needs to get fit, and he needs to play games, and he needs to stay fit, because I think he's a key player. The question I would ask, I want to know where Axel is with his fitness.
Good question.
We've signed him.
Yeah.
He's obviously he's not going to be playing Saturday, and I don't think he'll be playing anytime soon. But I'd like to know where he is with his fitness and
what's his start date.
Yeah,
that's a really good question.
They can't put a date on it, but they should have some idea of when he's going to be up to speed. Is he going to play any 23s football behind closed doors, friendlies, Wolves in the cup? You know, I'd just like to know where he is.
Is the Fleetwood injury the same as what he got for the Leeds game?
He done his calf, didn't he?
Oh, is that what it was?
Because he had one of them big bandages on his calf.
Oh, the ice on.
Around the pitch. So, I don't know.
There's some nice little sub narratives for this game, right? Because you've got Taylor going back to Hillsborough, where his promotion dream with.
I fell in love with him even more on that day. But
you liked how he was trying to cajole the troops a bit, didn't you? And you got Massimo going back where he was quite popular. And George Hurst, where his father was an absolute legend, and of course probably gets booed by them because he doesn't play for them. So some interesting little dynamics there if all those three were to feature.
Yeah, and you're right, where he was trying to cajole. You know, I think there was a famous image on the screen with Sky Show where they were brought into the circle after Wednesday had scored. And for me, looking at it, watching it, it was Taylor leading that, a young player leading that group of players and trying to calm them down. It didn't work, but it showed an old head on young shoulders, and I thought that would fit really well in our squad. Really I would ask about Axel as well, or Harry, or both. What's the management in terms of their injuries and their injury record? How do you anticipate managing them Monday to Friday in order to get the best out of them for Saturday? I sometimes understand not divulging injury information, tactically keep the opposition guessing, all those sort of old cliches they trot out, but there's nothing wrong with fans knowing how you're managing a situation. When they say they're managing the Harry Clark Achilles, what does that look like? What does that actually
what does that actually mean?
Mean? Is he in the pool Monday to Fridays as opposed to on the grass with the ball? What does managing it actually look like? And Axel, how do you keep him fit? You all know he's got injuries, so what's your plan going to be any different to the rest?
Are you managing it? Are you managing Clark to try and get him back to playing 90 minutes, or are we actually managing him to make sure he's not out for the season? Just go either way. That statement. Yeah,
just little things like that. They're things that the opposition could know and do absolutely nothing with it. Doesn't matter how you treated him Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. It's a Saturday they care about, but that's what I'd ask. Anyway, we've done a show tonight, hour and 8 with the fan forum. Obviously, a more traditional show next week, back on the blocks because there will be no fan forum to chew the fat within the first part of the show. But we're done. We're dusted. Thank you to Rob for joining us.
Brilliant.
But there we go.
Rob's really good.
Absolutely. Got Playford Road, Govan Arsom, says Colin. Oh, Colin, if it was that simple, I would do it every day, mate. I'd be up there. Excuse me, Mr. Ashton. Keep the kettle on first.
Yes, I'm outside.
What's that?
Whoop, whoop.
Talking Town. Like, subscribe. We'll see you all at the weekend.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of you. A long